Uh, More from the same project with apologies. Uh, but you're beginning to get the idea. Um, so this is a bit of a facetious question. Is doing good the future of work for managers within or outside the multinational corporation? Uh, Corporate social innovation and the meaning of work. So this again is somewhat uh, embryonic effort, but let's go for it. Have we? I guess I have to use this one. Yeah. So the Faustian bargain, you know, the opera, how managers view the corporations for which they work. Um, Lean and mean, pathological pursuit of profit and power. Joel Balkan. We're having a forum tomorrow on the future of the multinational. He's in the airplane right now on his way here. Uh, Inimical for democracy, his later work, 2020. Uh, Reward the wealthy, not workers, facilitate tax evasion, drive privatization of public services, exacerbate climate breakdown, the very modest analysis of Oxfam and its report on inequality, global inequality this year, or the quest for flexibility, downsizing, financialization, the systemic exploitation of externalities, and the tyranny of the bottom line appear to lead good people to do bad things. Estes, 1996. So there's a kind of paradoxical effect on managers. Heckscher Charles identified it as the white collar blues, low morale, little commitment to paternalistic corporate structures, a deeper search for community of purpose. And Charles is a person who was a Don Quixote looking for the windmills on the hills of these managers, but they're the people he talked to. The ambivalence of roles and contradictory consequences for meaning of their work. And they're open to the argument that corporations do not serve the common good, which means that there's a huge market for virtue, uh, proliferation of CSR, promotion of social inequity goals, and sometimes the backlash to that. So we have been working on what makes work better or worse. We did a piece on this in the transfer in 2023, where we tried to move beyond job quality by exploring the interactions of three dimensions of work. One is around risk. That's security, insecurity, social protections, whether it's mutualized or not. Subordination and autonomy, which has to do with task discretion, workload intensity, control over working time, dignity, and expressiveness, which is the meaning of work, self-realization through interesting, fulfilling, and useful work, exit options, ability to construct a career, collective representation, and most important, the common good, contributing to the democratic life of the community and the common good, much of which you've seen through these different presentations. So our study, no need to repeat, with Isabelle and Julie, Julie, who knows our data best. She's our AI, but it's not artificial, it's just straight intelligence. Um, the we looked at a range of initiatives and we took the time to talk with managers. I think that typically our interviews were a couple of hours long, so we could drill down. Well, maybe they were only 40 minutes and the rest were my jokes, but I don't know. We wanted to know how the meaning of work or better work or doing good are socially constructed, and what did these managers tell us? So first of all, around risk, and you can see that CSI poses risk for managers. We have different units of analysis here, the 14 cases with the 36 interviews. One said, if I'm not prioritizing the business, my job is at risk. If I'm not putting the bottom line first, I'm going to get myself in trouble. Another in a tech firm says, I always felt like I was on the edge of losing my job. It's only recognized as a kind of hobby. This is people doing social innovation initiatives. Another in finance says, passion doesn't pay the bills. And another in finance says, it involves taking a risk, a personal risk to my career. Finding the balance between business deliverables and CSI. Uh, One manager, these are all managers, saying, our company wants to be leaders in it, but they're so afraid of losing market share by being too vocal. Another, an engineering consultant, says, empathy is a great quality, but you have to be able to see business deliverables and business objectives too. And sometimes that's a hard balance. And another engineering consultant says, I think the most important point here is that doing the right thing and having a business case are not mutually exclusive of one another. But uh, a lot of businesses get very nervous about doing the right thing. Um, Risk with external stakeholders. This is about rocking the boat. Uh, it takes the CEO that's going to let you to do this in trust and has confidence in, an individual or team's credibility to put a stake in the ground and engage externally. Otherwise, there's too much nervousness within the company. And another says, my bank, people in my bank are extremely risk adverse, not from a traditional financial perspective, but from a perspective of don't rock the boat. And this was notably about human trafficking. Why would we want to be associated with human trafficking? People will think we're doing it rather than combating it. That's the kind of attitude that you have, even though they have this incredible ability. So they like to stay in their silos. There's also a risk with external stakeholders in terms of equality and inequality. You have to remember, I live in this community. This is about Indigenous inclusion. I come from the community, and if I don't do right by the community, they're going to hold me to account. Another says, I just feel that the business does need to take a more active engagement for change. And another says, motivating mistreatment was very motivating. Witnessing mistreatment was very motivating. Then we get on to the workload aspects of work intensity, autonomy, control. Um, and it's the tyranny of performance metrics versus creativity. If I am secure and I fulfill the minimum expectation on what is requested from me in my role, then I have the freedom to do other things. Another says just the pure ability for the people that are working, founders and employees, to spend every day focused on an issue that matters to them is one of the biggest gifts that you're going to have in your career. Um, and another says about gender equality, our target this year is 38%. uh, it's I won't I don't do it because I want to be paid more, because I believe in it, but it's nice to have the bonus. So you get that attitude. And then the balancing act, which is, this really isn't a main part of the business. It's called the side of my desk. I run this off the side of my desk. The whole point is, where is this whole other desk that I need in order to do this? We're doing all these projects on the side of my desk. Another says, this is my second job. But part of me was always worried that it was going to come back and bite me in my performance. It's not a very clear, bright line as to how much you've got to work for the bank, all your normal stuff, but it's a willingness to put the time in addition to your other responsibilities. You can't neglect your other responsibilities for the sake of this. You get the sense of the tension, but social support is very important. It's running through this. I think the easiest approach is if you've got a CEO who's passionate about giving back to the community in some fashion. People have a sense that they're making a difference and they're creating a culture that makes a difference. And it takes senior management that is supportive. Uh, a virtuous circle. People who worked for the company for 25 years would say, I've never been prouder than I am today to work here. It's a dignity question. The management of the bank has taken this on board and talk about it, and the employees are proud of what the bank is doing. There are not many occasions where employees of banks can be proud of what the bank is doing. I can say that again. In the best case, they're sort of neutral. And another Indigenous consultant says, we're proud that we've been able to have a hand in reconciliation in a meaningful way. And another says about resource extraction that we've really invested in the region. And this is where we get to the expressiveness, moving from risk to autonomy and control to expressiveness. Feminine Products says, I don't know anyone that would describe their employer as a good ethical employer. I don't know what's going on in the world, but I hardly know anyone that would describe their workplace that way. In finance, our mark on this community has been felt, which is great. Here was a chance to actually apply my business skills, and this is something that you see quite often, and knowledge in a way that I thought would really make an impact for people. It's an opportunity to make a difference. You know that you're making some sort of difference. You see the theme coming through, and fulfill it, still meaning fulfilling work. Those are the candidates you want to bring on board because they have the same alignment. It's true that when I manage to see someone who's come to us all wrong, we've hired them, trained them, developed them, and today they're at a certain level and they come to see me and say thank you. For me, that's an incredible reward. And that's talking about Indigenous inclusion and your ability to promote and develop people from within. I'm sure you see that in the Mexican case as well. And quite frankly, I think I'm having more impact in this role than I was at the charity I was working for. So this is someone who's gone from the NGO charity sector into a multinational and feeling that they're making more of a difference. Exit options. So much of our world is bondage, but so many folks I've met just want to do something different, just want to go somewhere else, and they're staying for milestones. Um, how do I make the most profit out of this product that might actually be really useful? In other words, they're saying, can I leave? How is it useful? Why am I working so hard just to line the pockets of a corporation when there's companies that are making a change in the world and I need to be part of that? This is managers talking about their firms and their role within the firms, and ability to construct a career. I'm really doing this for the freedom, what it meant to be purpose-led, purpose-driven. I I was exploring how I could potentially use my skills to do something different. This comes through very clearly. I want to be in a place where I can exert some influence and see monumental things happen and reconciliation. And getting to the end of this, the collective agency which comes. We're siloed. With a program like this, you get to sort of work across the bank, bring all the teams together. We think in a different way. We are not always thinking about sales like some of my peers. So you have this coming through, and leveraging capacities for the common good. Here's an opportunity to leverage those skills and knowledge to benefit and feel good about benefiting a broader swath of the population. I think that's really where my worldview comes from in terms of the collective. We're using the two-eyed seeing approach for, our the way that we do work with projects, in terms of the environment, but also to be that bridge between community and corporation. And I think this came very clearly through we came moral skeptical to this project. We weren't sure what we were going to find, but we had our doubts. So we were very impressed to meet all these many managers with such passion, but with a fairly nuanced vision of their role within the corporation and what the corporations were doing. So just a few conclusions. I end with that. Uh, it's a challenging and interesting terrain. It's contested, traversed by tensions, often internalized by the managers we met. Some are more self-aware and critical of the limits or downsides, especially when they have experience beyond the corporate world. They're assuming risk, navigating autonomy, finding meaning in CSI initiatives. There's clear evidence of that. But they drank the Kool-Aid, a tremendous source of energy for them. They need to understand conditions where common good strategies can flourish. Otherwise, they're going to leave. It's a challenge for a new generation of HR strategies seeking to mainstream corporate social innovation and UN development goals. And it's kind of what Isabelle described as well. And it's one of the common threads in the Penner Institute and CRIMT research agenda is the need to imagine alternatives beyond the current system of corporate governance, experimental engagement with CSI and its potential as sustainable HRM. So this is a first cut analysis. Thank you.